everyone and welcome to MBAP's YouTube channel. So this is our first video for the season CAT 2019, and the best way to start is by guiding students in terms of knowing that what to expect from this year CAT exam. Okay, so firstly you know that every year there is some of the other IIM who conducts the exam, and if you look at the website of IIM Kozhikode, okay, you'll find that IIM Kozhikode has already started registrations for the non-IIM colleges accepting CAT. That means it's almost official that IIM Kozhikode is going to conduct the exam this year. Now this is a big news for you guys, okay, especially who are aiming to clear the exam in this attempt only. For them it is very important that you what to expect from IIM Kozhikode's CAT. So in this video we are going to do all the detailed analysis that what went last time in terms of the CAT exam, okay, when IIM Kozhikode conducted it, what based on that what are the different changes which are expected this year. So we'll look all of that in detail. So firstly we need to understand that why this trend analysis is important. Okay, so for example, if you see last year CAT, which is CAT 18, was conducted by IIM Calcutta, okay, and before that CAT 17 was done by IIM Lucknow. So for example, if you look at the way IIM Calcutta conducts, okay, they have always maintained this consistency of difficult quant section. This is what I'm saying in terms of IIM Calcutta, which was last year. Okay, so that is why it is important to see that whichever IIM is conducting the exam this year, what exactly is the trend of that particular college. So let's go back, okay, and first see that when was the last time that IIM Kozhikode actually conducted CAT exam. Now this is where it goes 7 years ago, which is like CAT 2012, okay, that was the exam which was conducted by Kozhikode last time. This is a gap of like 7 years. Now there are a lot of changes that have happened over the past 7 years in CAT exam, and if I say CAT went online in the year 2009 somewhere, okay, and that was the initial 4 years of when CAT was moving from the offline mode to the online mode, and there were a lot of changes happening to conduct an exam with so many students in an online format. So that time IIM faced this challenge of accommodating so many students for online exam. Now this is not the scenario this time. So what I will do is I will pick up certain certain good points, okay, certain challenging points for the students, okay, if we compare the CAT 2012 versus CAT 2019. So in our analysis we have identified around 5 to 6 different points, okay, on which we can compare both the scenarios, okay, of CAT 2012 and the expected 19 exam. So first very important parameter is in terms of the sections, because if you look at 2012, okay, the exam had only 2 sections, okay. First section was quants plus data interpretation, and second was verbal plus logical reasoning. So it was a clubbed section that you used to get. So in this, the advantage that students had that time, that if it's for example a quants plus data interpretation, okay, and someone is not that good with data interpretation, he can kind of skip that and focus more on quants. Okay, this majorly had an impact in the verbal plus logical reasoning, where people somewhat skipped the logical reasoning section and focused only on not the section but questions, and focused only on verbal questions. This was the advantage that people had in 2012. Okay, now in 2019, what we are expecting is the 3 sections that we had last time. So over there, the student has to focus on verbal separately, quant separately, and logical reasoning and data interpretation separately. So this is a major change in the scenario. Second point is also towards the timing that each of the sections get. So last time it was like 30 questions was one section, and the students used to get some 70 minutes for that. So overall 70 minutes of 2 sections, that came down to around 140 minutes of the entire exam. Scenario now is you have to sit down for 3 hours, which is like 180 minutes. Now this is again a little challenging part for students here compared to 2012, because it requires more stamina, because you are expected to sit for 3 hours. However, students who have given last year CAT exam should not face this as a major point, okay, because anyways you will give all your mocks Especially at MBAP, we make students give at least of 22 marks minimum that you are expected to get. If you're giving 22 marks with 3 sections in this particular pattern, I don't think this is going to be a challenge for the students. So another advantage is if you look at the window period, okay, in which the exam was conducted in 2012 and mostly expected this year. 2012, the window period was 21 days, and this time we don't expect it to be more than a day. Okay, at max it would be for 2 days. So all the slots are completed in 1 or 2 days here. Okay, so that time when it was 21 days, the problem was the change in the difficulty level in different slots. So in the initial part of the CAT 2012, you had quant section which was more of difficult. Okay, towards the end it was verbal section that started coming difficult. So you can't really know that how the normalization procedure works, because normalization was a big thing, big confusion in fact in 2012, because it was as I said, initial phase of online exam. People were not knowing how the entire normalization process is done. People giving such different level of difficulty exams over a period of 21 days. This was all the confusion last time. This time I don't think all of this is there, because CAT has now become more stable in terms of the difficulty level. Okay, across the sections the difficulty, the slots difficulty level is pretty much the same, and the slots are less, so normalization procedure is quite transparent. You also get, last year also students have got the answer key as well as the question that the student has attempted and marked. So this has brought a lot of transparency in terms of the normalization procedure and the window period. Now this is the best part, and students should be very happy with this point, is if you look at the detailed analysis. Okay, in CAT 2012, as I said, okay, there were only 2 sections. So if you look at the verbal section, you got around 21 questions which were on verbal, okay, and 9 questions that came on the logical reasoning part. Now the problem is this, okay, with the CAT 2012 exam is that time the overall questions, okay, which came down to what, like say 60 questions. So 3 marks per question was there. The total marks was 180. Now, out of 180, if you are looking to score a 99 percentile, okay, last time, because the number of questions were less, okay, the difficulty level was higher. Now, the difficulty level was higher, so the student is expected to score at least of somewhere around 60 marks out of 180 to score a 99 percentile. Now, what it means is that आपको 33 percentage marks लाना है कम से कम, which is like 1/3, to get a 99 percentile. That was the scenario back in 2012. Okay. Now the good part here is because the number of questions has increased, okay, the difficulty level compared to 2012 is little easier. Okay, because there in 2012 they give you more time per question. Okay, here you are getting less time per question, so the difficulty level is reduced. That's the good part of the student. Now here, because the difficulty level is reduced, okay, that's why you need to score somewhere around 60% marks out of the total marks that we have, which is like 300 marks is the total in CAT 2019. Out of 300 marks, if you score somewhere around 170, 180, okay, which is close to 60% marks, okay, that is where you score a 99 percentile. So this is the changing scenario, which is a good part, that overall on the difficulty level when IIM Kozhikode brought last year, okay, because number of questions were less, difficulty was high. So you need only 33% marks that time. This year, because the paper is going to be relatively easier compared to 2012, okay, that's why the percentage at which you get 99 percentile marks is going to be on a higher side. So good overall, okay, I guess. That's why if I have to give you detailed analysis, okay, I'll mention in terms of the number of questions for every section that we got in these 2 sections overall. So here now I'm looking at the detailed analysis of CAT 2012 and the expected CAT 2019. So let's look at the verbal plus logical reasoning section. Okay, you see that on reading comprehension you got somewhere around 10 questions. Okay, and on verbal ability, which is the para-jumble, para-completion kind of questions, you got somewhere around 11 questions on that, and 9 questions is what you got on logical reasoning. Now you have clear bifurcations. Now when I say 10 questions on reading comprehension, it was only 3 passages. Okay, this time, okay, if you look at the past 2-3 years trend, okay, that in because one entire section is verbal, you get somewhere around 6 passages in reading comprehension now. Okay, that's a major shift. Okay, if you look at question-wise analysis. Also, the number of questions on the verbal ability has pretty much increased from 11 to good enough, I guess 15 at times. Okay, so because RC section has almost doubled from 10 questions to 24 questions that comes. Verbal ability questions, it can vary from 10 to 15. Okay, which last time it was 11 questions. Then comes logical reasoning part. See, logical reasoning that time was only 9 questions, which is more of, you can say, 2 or 3 sets must have come. Now you have almost the entire section, which is logical reasoning and data interpretation. In fact, for logical reasoning and data interpretation, now that we see, we don't see clear bifurcation between logical reasoning and a data interpretation question. Either we get a logical based DI or we get a DI based logical reasoning. So now that comfort the student had earlier, okay, that he can like focus only on verbal without logic, he can still clear that section. That comfort you might not have this time. Okay, now comes the point towards cons. Now cons was out of 30 questions, okay, 21 questions came in cons, and rest 9 questions were more of data interpretation. Again, the same thing, that data interpretation is student can like people who face difficulty in calculations, they kind of skip data interpretation and focus only on cons. But now, as I said about the logical reasoning and data interpretation section which comes together, this particular advantage won't be there. However, okay, at least at MBAP, we make our students give minimum 20-22 marks. Okay, I mean, as such, we are offering more than 50-60 marks that we give to our students. But 20 to 25 is the minimum number that we expect students to give. And it's almost July is there, and from now onwards, if I see, students should start giving full length marks. Okay, eventually they should increase the pace. But August onwards, it should be at a very high level that students should start giving marks. So that all will help you in terms of getting a good hang of the expected CAT 2019 exam, which is going to be by IIM Kozhikode. So yes, this is what we wanted to share with you guys, that on the overall picture, I see that this year's CAT might be difficult, just like the way it was in 2012. However, a difficult exam is always good. There are students who give lot of marks will definitely score a 99 percentile or a good percentile as per their preparation. So all the best. Okay, and yes, as I said, keep subscribing to the channel, because that will help you get more and more updates. We will be coming with regular updates towards different exams and changing patterns and expectations that students should have towards their upcoming exams. All the best.